Hello and welcome to Sons of Olympia. I'm Matt.
And I'm George. And we're brothers.
And our parents are Olympians.
Yes, we are the two sons of Olympian parents who have failed to fulfill their genetic potential.
And like all underachieving children, we have decided to start our podcast.
Hello, welcome back everybody to Sons of Olympia, where today we're going to be talking injuries, common injuries, famous injuries, how to deal with injuries, as both Matt and myself have dealt with injuries in our sporting careers so far. I think we're not doctors by any means, but we've got experience. We've got stuff that we can share on this matter. So stay tuned. I think it's going to be a good one. If you like the podcast, give us a review. Follow us on Instagram at Sons of Olympia Pod. And if you've got any questions about injuries, stick them in the comments.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's going to be a good one because we have had many injuries in our life. Most injuries under the sun, I would say. Actually, there's many injuries, but we've got a long list. We've been under the knife a couple of times.
Yeah.
What are we like, eh?
I used to call us not the Brownlee brothers, the bad knee brothers. Because we do have bad knees. But before we dive into our injury past, how are you doing, Matt? Are you having a good week? Everything going well up in sunny Sheffield?
Yeah, everything's absolutely going swimmingly well. No injuries. I have had no, I say that. I rolled my ankle. I'm recovering from a sprained ankle, which is, again, blighting me in my runs. But it's all good. Well, have you got any athletic ventures coming up? Any?
Do actually, yes. First race since London Marathon. Doing I don't even know what it's called. It's called like Trail Pursuit or something. Anyway, it's a coastal half marathon near St Agnes along the coast path. I'm doing that tomorrow on Saturday, so I hope it cools down a little.
Is that just you've just decided to do that off the cuff, have you?
Just knew a couple of people that are also doing it, and it looks like it could be. I think it's a nice route. Obviously, you go along the coast, and then they're putting on a bit of a shindig afterwards. There's cold plunge, there's sauna, your nibbles, your treats. So I think the idea is you hang around afterwards and enjoy the scenery. So it should be quite nice. But I haven't really been running much since the marathon, so it'll be interesting.
Lower expectations, more for fun and vibes.
Yeah, just the vibes.
Just to see where you're at.
Just see where I'm at, How's it all doing? But yeah. I'll fill you all in next episode about how I get on. Maybe I'll win the whole bloody thing.
Stranger things have happened.
They have. Also saw Mum and Dad yesterday, full of praise for the podcast. You love to hear it. As well as cousin
biggest fans.
Yeah. Oh, everyone's loving it, so that's always nice to see. Should we get into some sporting news?
Let's get into some sporting
news.
This
week.
Yes.
What have you got? What you got for me?
Right. What I've got for you, right. Get ready for this one. Keely Hodgkinson, not friend of the pod. I do feel like we talk about her quite a lot. It feels like she's a friend of the pod. Not quite Ailish McColgan levels, but we do like Keely over here. Yeah. She has confirmed that she's going to go for the 800-meter world record at the London Diamond League in July. This is, for those who don't know, this is the longest standing athletics world record there is at 43 years old. This record is so. It's a big one, and it feels like it's one of the last of the suspicious records to go. I mean, there's still, quite a lot of them have fallen now, but this one is dubious, and it's held by Yarmila Karachilova.
Yes,
so Keely's put herself out there, and she said she's going to do it.
Let's go, Keely.
Yeah, so I hope she does it. But there's also a competition for world records at that athletics meet, because Josh Kerr has also said that he wants to go for the mile world record at the same time, which we know about. He's already put himself out there for that one.
Yes.
So both Brits, let's hope we get one world record. Imagine getting two, more than the enhanced games. Burn.
Yeah, that's exciting. Do you want to go with another? Because both of mine sort of...
Yeah, I'll go with another because I did mention the enhanced games, and we talked about it in the last episode in the news section because it was quite fresh there. The dust has settled, I'd say, on the enhanced games, and I think a lot of commentary is that actually wasn't very good. Despite what the organisers are saying, how amazing it was and how many PBs were set and all this. But at the end of the day, it didn't really show that with a load of drugs you create superhumans. So anyway, but they've sort of upped the ante a bit and tried to, well, they've confirmed that a 2027 Enhanced Games will happen, and they've put a huge figure on one event in particular. So the men's 100-meter sprint, they've put a 10 million prize fund on any athlete who breaks Usain Bolt's 9:58 world record. That is huge, right? In athletics terms. So I wonder if that sort of figure is enticing any current, because to get anywhere near to that 9:58, you're going to have to get the very, very best of the clean athletes, not your washed up, almost on the cusp. You need the very best. So, Noah Lyles sort of level, those competing for the gold at the Olympics. And for them to do it, they need to basically sacrifice their career post Enhanced Games. It's over for them. And I guess they're thinking, well, 10 million might be the number. And we did speak about this in our Enhanced episode. Is there a number to tempt the best? Is 10 million enough? I don't know. 10 million plus your legacy, your reputation.
Yeah. And what's the prize for second place, right? It's still a bit of a risk. Well, a big risk breaking the world record. But 10 million, it kind of just seems a bit desperate, doesn't it? From the Enhanced Games. It's just throwing money at it, hoping that it will become the thing they want it to be.
And the 10 million's there just to try and get a better caliber athlete in at the start, because the money wasn't stopping people trying really hard and committing to doping. All the athletes were like, we are in, we're going to dope the hell out of it, and we're going to try and do it. And they still couldn't break the world records apart from the one. So it's not the incentive of the money. It's what type of athlete is it attracting? And they need the very best. Clearly they've decided, okay, we can't break world records with the second tier. We need to get the big dogs in
the prime athletes.
Yeah. But we'll see, I guess, if this turns any heads.
Yeah.
I suspect probably not, I don't think.
I don't know. It's a lot of money. Life-changing money if you get it.
It is.
What are the chances of you actually doing it?
I actually don't think. I don't think Noah Lyles is going to do it even doped up.
No.
But we'll keep track of that one, guys. We'll keep
an eye on it.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, moving over to the world of tennis. Yannick Sinner, world number one in tennis, who was on a 30-game winning streak, is now out at the French Open against the Argentinian Juan Manuel Cerundolo, who was 56th in the world, and he was 2 sets up at Yannick Sinner.
Yeah, major upset.
It was looking
good. He collapsed, didn't he? Complete collapse.
He lost 15 straight points. I think he had a medical timeout. The heat, don't know what he was dealing with, but an upset there. And he was on a roll. He had won 5 tournaments in a row or something. He was flying, and he's out. So, drama.
Yeah, that tournament now is, I wouldn't say wide open, because there is a certain Novak Djokovic in there, but there's no Carlos Alcaraz either. So those two have been cleaning up the majors. So yeah, we will see. But yeah, tough day out there for Sinner in the heat. Some people deal with it better than others, don't they? And I think clearly he had a major collapse there. Like something wasn't up to be completely flying and then die out. He was quite gracious in defeat as well. I think he saw some of his comments after, and he was he didn't go, my body just, really, really struggled in the heat, blah, 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 blah. You could easily cop out with that and just say it wasn't my fault, but he did, he was quite gracious.
You love to see it.
There's some questions around just him in general with his doping past and things like that. So big time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he was sort of semi-banned for a little bit because of some weird stuff that going on with his doctor and his different creams here and there, and unknowingly had some stuff. But anyway,
some unknown creams.
Mm.
Well, moving on. But staying in the world of tennis, Rafael Nadal, who retired from the tennis world in 2024, he's got a documentary coming out on Netflix, as I'm sure all the sporting superstars are going to do now until the end of time. But in an interview, he said that he was actually dealing with a condition in his foot that he was suffering with since 2005. So right at the start of his career, he said this was bothering him, giving him chronic pain in his foot. Apparently the condition, I'm not sure I'm going to say this correctly, Muller-Weiss syndrome. No, that's a yogurt.
That's a yogurt.
Speaking of creams, I don't know, Muller-Weiss? That can't be correct.
I have also got it down here as Muller-Weiss, and it's only when you say it. I'm typing it down and thinking Muller-Weiss, but not. And only when you're saying it, I'm like, it's a Muller-Weiss, yeah.
I was suffering with Muller-Weiss throughout my entire career. Couldn't stop having them. Anyway, his doctor said that this is a condition in your foot that's caused by abnormal forces acting on an immature bone. So this could have been right back from when he was a child, intense training as a young boy, a wee lad, and all the force that you're putting through your body when you're training to be an incredible tennis player can cause issues. And Nadal would have been suffering with this Muller-Weiss syndrome since 2005.
That's a very, very long time to be dealing with pain, isn't it?
It is.
Because I was reading about this because we're talking about injuries, which seems like a very good news item to talk about. But when he was a kid, he went through a particularly intense training schedule as a child. I think his uncle had coached him. Uncle Tony was his coach for almost his entire career, I think.
Wow.
And had a quite tough stance with him. And I think to build like mental resilience, he wouldn't give Nadal water in the first hour of a training session as a kid, and stuff like that. So, and this Muller-Weiss syndrome has cascaded into spiraled into other issues for Nadal, because he to sort of deal with the sore foot, he put an insole into his shoe, playing then again and again, amount of hours you play with this insole, then put his body out of whack a bit, and then he developed chronic knee tendonitis, which put him out of London 2012 Olympics, a French Open, but then he had to take a load of painkillers for his knee because of the pain that the foot was causing and that the insole was causing his knee. Then he took all these painkillers that he had too many, and now he's got perforated intestine because of the amount of painkillers he's had. So from that foot injury has actually turned into much, much bigger things.
Wow.
In the 2022 French Open, he actually had an injection to completely numb his foot. Couldn't feel his foot at all because the pain was that bad. So,
gosh.
Yeah, it's crazy how motivated he must have been. That he had nothing to prove at that late stage. 2022 is already cemented as one of the greats, and he still won that tournament.
Imagine what it would have been like if he wasn't dealing with pain.
Yeah. I probably will watch that documentary. There's too many though. There's too many. There's too many documentaries.
I would much rather as well just watch one that when it's like you go on, it's like 90 minutes long. Do you know what I mean? But when you go on, it's like a series, 6-part. I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
Just give it to me in 90 minutes. Sum it up. Give me the highlights.
Because the Beckham one, I felt like opened the door for everything.
Yeah.
It was it was Michael Jordan, wasn't it? The first one. I feel like that was The Last Dance, which was COVID years, 2020, 2021, or whatever it was. Then Beckham had a big one. Posh Spice had one.
Yeah. Was Michael Jordan involved with The Last Dance, though? Because the Beckham one, wasn't Beckham like a producer on it?
That's true, yeah.
And then that, I think, is interesting because it's just like it's almost like Beckham propaganda, right? You're just telling your own...
yes.
You're never going to go into the dirt.
You're never going to hear from Rebecca Luz.
You're never going to get the darkest skeletons out the closet if you're doing the documentary yourself.
True. Yeah, I don't know, because Michael Jordan he was interviewed and all that. I don't know if he had final sign off on the narrative that he was put, because he didn't come across like a glowing review of his personality, was it? It was like, you're a bit of a knobhead.
He was.
But he was also class. So
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Shall we get into injuries?
Let's get into injuries. I'm sure lots of people out there have had to deal with an injury because the stats I've looked at suggest many people are injured through sports every single year. And it's part and parcel of being an active person, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So shall I throw out some facts for you just so you
Give me some
know?
stats. Yeah.
2 million people a year visit A&E for sports-related injuries. 2 million. I thought that'd be, I actually thought it might be quite more than that. But I suppose lots of people just don't go to A&E.
Exactly, yeah.
A sprained ankle, a sprained muscle or whatever. But anyway, still, nonetheless, quite a lot. In marathon training, there's different numbers being thrown out around here, but 50 to 70% chance in a marathon training block is someone going to be injured within that.
Wow.
So if you sign up to a marathon, you got 50 to 70% chance of being injured along the way. The exact severity of that injury obviously can vary significantly, but there's going to be some stumbling blocks. Rarely are you going to get through a smooth training block.
I've got a number here from Yale Medicine that says 50% of regular runners get hurt each year. So I guess that's even outside of a intense training block. If you run a lot, it's likely you're going to deal with some sort of injury.
Yeah, it comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Sport England estimate that while sports injuries cost the NHS £150 million a year, but it actually saves them estimated, this is 1.4 billion because of the benefits that go with it. So saved GP practices, visits to the GP for different things, mental health visits, all the stuff as well. Loads of money from like chronic conditions and prescriptions and all that stuff. So on the whole, it's for the greater good, but nonetheless, we do have to deal with them.
Yes. I've got a little bit here on the top 6 most common sporting injuries in the UK.
Oh, yeah.
They're grouped in like type of injury. So I'll just quickly run through these. Number 1, sprains and strains. This is when your ligament, which is supporting a joint, is stretched or torn. So very common when you're jumping, you're changing direction. Things like your joints are going to get these, your knees, your elbows, your ankles, your wrists. Very common.
For playing a game of bingo, let's see. Yep, had it.
Yeah. You've had a sprain and strain. Quick note here. Do you know the difference between like a ligament and a tendon?
Man, a ligament. Or is it like one attaches muscle to muscle, one is muscle to bone? Which one is which? I'm not sure. Or one bone to bone? Oh, man, I don't know.
Yeah, you're skirting around it. Your ligaments are bone to bone. So these help stabilize your joints and therefore they heal pretty slowly because not much blood flow gets to the bones and then into the ligaments. Your tendons are your muscle to bone and they allow you to move by pulling on the joints. So number 1, sprains and strains. Number 2, muscle tears. So when you tear a muscle, and these can be like ranked from like mild to severe, and you're going to get these when you're running, accelerating, changing direction again. And apparently the most common one is your calf.
Yeah, definitely done the calf. I'm not sure exactly. I've never had it diagnosed as, but I've had some pretty bad calves.
You know when something's up, don't you?
Yeah.
Fractures is next, or broken bones. I think those terms are used interchangeably in the medical scene. Common in high impact sports, your rugby, your things like that. And of course, anything where you can fall, skiing, snowboarding. They can range from cracks all the way up to complete breaks, and a stress fracture is also very common as well. So that's repetitive motion on a bone can cause cracks. Up next, we've got concussions. We spoke about concussions before. This is when your brain bashes against your skull, which just is disgusting to even like think about, isn't it? Gross. Next is tendonitis, which is the inflammation of a tendon. So this is when, again, repetitive movements inflame your tendons. Yeah. Have you ever had tendonitis?
What's it called? The IT band, which I think is a form of tendonitis. I've had that on both sides of
Ouch.
both legs.
Yeah.
I've had all of these things that you're talking about.
Nice. And the last one, it'd be interesting to hear if you've had this one, a dislocation, when a bone in a joint is forced out of its normal position. Again, falling, twisting, changing direction.
That's the only one I haven't had.
Oh, there we go.
I think. So there's still got time to get the full house.
A lot of the sporty listeners might be familiar with some of those common injuries. That's probably what people are dealing with when we're talking about injuries.
Yeah. And they're in the news a lot. Injuries are in the news all the time. If you read BBC Sports, your media, we're up to date, and certain injuries get more airtime than others. So I'll just list some that are in the news at the moment. Tottenham had the worst season probably ever in football, just avoided relegation this season, but they've been inundated with ACL injuries with their first team players, so much so that they want to do some sort of like extensive review into their practices at the club, because it's not normal to have this many ACL injuries in first team players. An ACL injury means you're out for pretty much a year for a football injury like that to get back. So it's a big deal if you lose a player. And I think a lot of people are familiar with ACLs because they're also really prevalent in the women's game, in women's football. And weirdly, there's like a crisis going on with ACLs and people aren't really sure why. Like there was a time that a load of the best players were having ACL reconstructions. Beth Mead, England captain Leah Williamson, Sam Kerr, Vivian Miedemina. So yeah, these are like the world's best players all getting ACL injuries. And there's a bit of research into like why this could happen with women footballers, but they don't really know why. Basically, it could be like an anatomical thing because women have wider hips and angles of knee to hip and stuff like that could be different and means the knee rotates slightly differently. But again, it's just a suggestion, really. There's one on hormones. So depending on where you are in your menstrual cycle, ligaments could be a bit more lax, a bit stretchier. Yeah. But again, like, it's not cemented evidence as to why this happened. Then there's another one like men just have access to better facilities, more strength training, more time spent like looking after their bodies than professional female players. And then like women also wearing kit that was designed for men. Like in football, it's like boots that have just been, let's make a women's version in pink or something. It's just as basic as that. I think things are changing there, but really they don't really know why there's a big issue with ACLs. But yeah, it happens a lot in football.
It's very interesting, isn't it? And I guess I wonder if like a lot of like the historic research into some of these injuries and how to recover or how to prevent them and stuff would have been done on men as well. Do you know what I mean? So like a lot of the science behind them probably have done on men. It's something that Sophie actually said that we should talk about, but I don't feel qualified talking about women's health and everything. But she said she gets a lot of stuff now about like when to train in like certain parts of your cycle and stuff, and how they say when you're in certain parts of your cycle, you're more at risk of injury and stuff like this. And so I think there's a bit of a debate, I guess, in like women's circles about that sort of thing. It's just something that you don't have to think about as a man, and you sort of forget that women have to think about this stuff about like, I'm at this stage of my cycle, maybe I don't do high intensity training or
and how frustrating is that? Like if you're coming up to a major,
for sure,
an Olympics, major championships or something, and you're just in the wrong part of your cycle, and either maybe I'm not going to perform at my best, or there's a chance I'll get injured, or it's just another thing for women to deal with.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about it later again, like the power of the mind when thinking about injuries and stuff like this. And even if you just have that thought in your head as you're going into an event, like I'm in the wrong, even if you feel okay, even if it's just in the back of your thought, like back of your mind, it's annoying I'm at this stage, that's probably going to have an impact.
Throw you a bit. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Women have it bad, don't they? Gosh.
Very bad, yeah.
Shout out to all our female listeners.
Yeah, shout out. Let's talk about some of the most famous injuries before we get into our personal experiences, because there's some famous ones here. So, do you remember Bolt? Usain Bolt's injuries. There's some famous ones here. So Bolt, you might just remember him as, smashing all the races and things like that.
Yeah.
But his final Olympics, the 2016 Olympics, was at risk at one point. He pulled his hamstring, pulled up in the Jamaican trials just before the 2016 Rio Olympics. So much so that he couldn't carry on the trial, so he couldn't do the final. And that determines who from that country goes. So he pulled up, he had a grade 1 tear, I think, in his hamstring.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway, he got a pass, a bye into if you're like the Jamaican authorities, you're like, we got to bring Bolt, like whether or not he's the best.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
You're bringing him. So it's touch and go whether he was going to make it. He did recover in time, and thank God, because he went on to win 3 golds in Rio. 100, 200 relay, so recovered like a beast.
No tears stopping Bolt. Yeah.
No tears stopping that. Well, you say that. Then in 2017, his final race, professional race, was in the relay. The world champs, anchor leg. Jamaica were 3rd, I think, coming into the final leg. Hands over to him. Bolt's, he's highly motivated. It's his last race. Come on, let's bring it back. Tears his hamstring. Pulls up massively in his final race, doesn't finish the race. Not the way you want to go out, but at least it was his final race, He'd done all his big stuff. So that was quite a famous injury. And then we got the metatarsals. I don't know if you, George, you were 3 years younger than me, but damn, no one knew what a metatarsal was in 2002. And then David Beckham breaks his metatarsal just before the 2002 World Cup. His second metatarsal. So metatarsal, you've got a few different ones for your foot bones. He broke his second one, and basically the nation held their breath for 7 weeks to see if he was going to make it to the World Cup. And it was like national news. His whole recovery process was like, is Beckham going to be ready for the World Cup? He even had Uri Geller, the sort of illusionist or magician, did like a remote healing session through TV for the nation to like channel their healing thoughts to Beckham's metatarsal. And then metatarsal came back into the news because then Wayne Rooney, broke his 4th metatarsal 2 months before the 2006 World Cup. It's like, oh my God, history's repeating itself. And he did make it, but he wasn't fit. You could tell. And then he got sent off against Portugal. So it was just a terrible situation for Rooney. But yeah, metatarsal's famous in this country.
Yeah. I've just thought of this, so I just tried to look it up in the background. Famous basketball injury was Kobe when he did his Achilles.
Yes.
And he posted this famous Facebook post, I think like the night that he hurt himself. And we're going to talk about dealing with our injuries, but I'm just going to quickly read this out because I do think it is like really good. So this is Kobe Bryant after having his Achilles injuries. But this is such BS. All the training and sacrifice just flew out the window with one step that I've done millions of times. The frustration is unbearable. The anger is rage. Why the hell did this happen? Makes no damn sense. Now I'm supposed to come back from this and be the same player or better at 35? How in the world am I supposed to do that? I have no clue. Do I have the consistent will to overcome this thing? Maybe I should break out the rocking chair and reminisce on the career that was. Maybe this is how my book ends. Maybe Father Time has defeated me. Then again, maybe not. It's 3:30 a.m. My foot feels like a dead weight. My head is spinning from the pain meds and I'm wide awake. Forgive my venting, but what's the purpose of social media if I won't bring it to you real, no image? Feels good to vent, let it out, to feel as this is the worst thing ever. Because after all the venting, a real perspective sets in. There are far greater issues, challenges in the world than a torn Achilles. Stop feeling sorry for yourself, find the silver lining and get to work with the same belief, same drive and same conviction as ever. One day, the beginning of a new career journey will commence. Today is not that day. If you see me in a fight with a bear, pray for the bear. I've always loved that quote. That's Mamba mentality. We don't quit. We don't cower. We don't run. We endure and conquer. I know it's a long post, but I'm Facebook venting. Lol. Maybe now I can actually get some sleep and be excited for surgery tomorrow. First step of a new challenge. Guess I will be Coach Vino the rest of this season. I have faith in my teammates. They will come through. Thank you for all your prayers and support. Much love always. Mamba out.
Oh, let's go. Mamba mentality, baby. Still, what a legacy that is, the Mamba mentality.
Yeah.
People still talking about like Kobe's mentality, isn't it?
For sure. But I think that's pretty cool because, again, it's so different with, like, we've had ACL injuries, right? And what was difficult with those, we'll talk about it in a second, I'm sure, is like the delay in getting it done. When you're a
Yeah.
professional athlete, do you know what I mean? You're carried off the court, basically have the surgery done in the locker room, and you're
Yeah,
in your
yeah, I know. Yeah, that is a frustration when you've got one of these injuries and you're like, well, by the time the surgery comes around, I could have been back at it if
Yeah.
I'd have been. Yeah, you can't think like that.
Yeah.
Can't think like. But what's interesting about Kobe's injury? So Achilles injuries are like an ACL common thing, aren't they? Fairly common in the NBA, and is it his name Halliburton or the guy from? Oh, who did he play for? The Pacers. So last year's NBA Finals, he ruptured his his Achilles. Same injury as Kobe. And in one of the documentaries, he said when he did that, he wanted to be able to walk off the court just because Kobe was able to walk off when he did his Achilles. Just the Kobe-ness is still around in all those players.
And that, I should have looked into that because, well, Halliburton last year was just doing like crazy things. He like took a team that like no one was expecting to go far, and he was just like rushing through the playoffs. He had like incredible game winners and everything, and he was like doing this like crazy story that's like from a movie, and then gets an injury. He's out.
Yeah, and the thing is, he had a sore calf, didn't he? And he probably would, if it was a normal season game, he probably would have gone, I'm going to sit this one out and just rest it. But the calf strain is like the prelude to the Achilles. So, but he had to play. He had to play, put it all on the line, and didn't work out for him. Tough.
Yeah. Whew.
Yeah.
Should we look into our own? Our own injuries.
God, have we got enough time? Jeez.
Yeah.
God, we're problem children.
Do you want to? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first because I did my ACL first.
Okay.
I feel like I started my injury woes first. Yeah. I'll list off. So I played a lot of football. Never got injured. Never got injured. And then I think I was 22 years old. I went in for a tackle, a lunge, and got like my leg caught between the legs of an opponent, and it just that twisting motion. My knee was trapped. Heard a pop, bang, and I didn't even know what an ACL was. I didn't know what had gone on. I knew it was severe pain. I was screaming, and I've never had that on a football pitch where you're like screaming. Anyway, went off. Found out way down the line, actually, a physio had looked at it and gone, "No, I don't think you've done anything. You just sprained it." And then 6 weeks later, I let the swelling go down, went back to football, and then just immediately went again. And actually, it ended up in an ambulance going to the hospital to then get it confirmed. Anyway, so yeah, I've done my ACL. I've recovered from the ACL. First game back in football, fractured my leg, broke my leg. I was in a cast all the way up to my groin. So I broke my leg.
Yeah. It's worth noting that you are a 6'5" athletic monster. So your full leg cast, I remember, was extremely
oh my God, cumbersome. And you don't even talk about living with that sort of cast. Yeah, you can't really walk anywhere. You're not really mobile. You're relying on everyone. Showering is just the worst thing. Can't get it, where anyone who's dealt with a cast knows that. Anyway, I'd done that. Tore my meniscus a few years ago, playing six-a-side football with Dad, with his retired mates. Come on, that was embarrassing. Yeah, so they're my main ones. I've had all sorts of sprains, buckled ankles, blah blah blah. But yeah, I've had some major ones. Which ones can you match me with, George?
Well, I've also done my ACL. I'm not sure with the same leg. It's my right leg.
Ditto.
Right leg, yeah. Is there a genetic thing there? You know, who knows? But it was I was getting so into basketball, and I did have some injuries getting into basketball. I did have patellar tendonitis, runner's knee or jumper's knee, and that was from just because I went through this stage where I was just playing basketball out in the garden every single day, jumping as high as I could, multiple times, jumping up and over everything I could until I got this. And that was really frustrating as well because that would get better, the pain would go, and then as soon as you start doing it again, it's like, oh no, it's still there. That was
Yeah.
frustrating. But yeah, my ACL is the worst one. I just found a basketball team called the Rugeley Raptors, and I was supporting the Toronto Raptors. I was like, this is meant to be. Literally had played like 2 games. I just started dunking for the first time. I remember this young lad, not in a game, threw me up an alley oop, and
No.
everyone thought it was sick, and I was like, "This is the best." And then it was like the next training session, we were playing. I did something to my knee. I sat out, and I was a bit like, "Oh man, what's this? It feels kind of bad." And then someone just checked themselves out because they were too tired and just threw me the bib to go
Mm.
on, and I was like, "Oh." And because I was like so new, I didn't. I
Mm.
was like, wanna. So I just put this bib on. Knew something was wrong with my knee. Pretty much like first play, went up for like a block or something, landed, and yeah, like you said,
That was the
burning,
ACL.
screaming pain. Yeah, I had to like pull myself off to the side of the court. It was hurting so bad. Again, went through the NHS. And they're like, oh, it's probably just a strain or whatever. Took me like several visits going back to be like, no, it's something's wrong, something's wrong. And what had actually happened was it was just a partial tear. So when I went in for surgery, it would say it was just like torn halfway through. So they just cut the bit that was torn, and I'd done some meniscus damage, so they like shaved off the meniscus as well. But then I was walking around being like, well, my ACL now is only half as thick as it
Mm.
was. And then I told this story last episode doing this 10K trail run where nothing even happened. It wasn't like a trip, a turn, just running. And I guess because my ACL was half the size, it just popped, took more cartilage with it. So then I went for another surgery, and I literally got this second surgery in just before lockdown. So it was like March the 9th, 2020, I think. Um,
Man.
and they rebuilt the ACL, attempted to repair the meniscus, and they also gave me something. It is in my notes because it's a weird, a lateral extra-articular tenodenesis.
One of those. Okay.
Yeah, which is like an extra ligament that they put on the outside of your knee, apparently to provide more support. And I remember the surgeon, he was like, "Oh, we could do this, but we normally only give it to people under 25." And I was like 27 or something at the time. And he was like, "And normally if they're only going to like professional sports or they want to play American football or something," and I had to be like, "Well, I might." Do you know what I mean? Like it's important to me.
Yeah.
Stick it in. And he was like, "All right, fine." So I've got that in there now as well. And
Yeah.
I've had a
Damn.
couple scares since, but nothing.
That
Nothing.
definitely is. When you've had these things, the mental attitude to fully trust your injury again,
Yeah.
I find is actually never the same.
No.
And I've had my meniscus repaired, and the knee's not great, to be honest.
Yeah.
And you have to sort of come to terms with that, which is only a time thing. I've found it's there's various stages of grief, isn't there, when you have an injury like that?
Yeah. What I found out about the second one is that because you know the whole journey ahead, you know, great, I need to go wait a couple months to get the appointment. Then it's a couple months to get the scan. Then it's several months before you get the results. Then you have to book in with the specialist. Then they put you on the waiting list. And it's like, I know it's going to be a year before I have the surgery. Then it's I don't know how long for the ACL, 18 months maybe before you're doing what you love to do again. And the second one I found was like so hard
Yeah,
because of, it's like a grief and
it is.
you know what's coming up. And that's what's really difficult. Um,
Yeah, it's really horrible, and because the NHS don't see it as like an urgent thing, it's like, if you were to say, I'm in chronic pain every day, then you get fast tracked. But what they don't really realize, I suppose, or appreciate is the knock on effect of like how that's going to make you feel day to day. And you will feel like basically fall into a depression. If like the sport is what is keeping you motivated and all that stuff, actually, you can get into the real depths
of
of it.
course. Yeah, I
But
guess it's going to ties in nicely to dealing with
yeah.
injuries. Do you want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah. I found basically you need people around you. you just need like a support network all the time, where there's someone on the end of the phone, someone you live with, your mates. Like you need that positive energy all the time, because you just cannot have people around you who are going to be negative or bring you down. And I found that definitely with my ACL and my leg break, where I was more immobile with my leg break, to be honest. But because you're having things like when I had my big cast on, I had to take blood thinning injections. So I had a whole basket basically of injections to stab into your gut every day, and I just could not do that to myself. So mum was injecting me, which is not very nice. But then I also had my mates who would pick me up. I went to like a pub quiz every week to just sort of take you out of your hole, basically. So yeah, I found having some sort of people around you to sort of talk about the wider world rather than just sports and your injury, talk about other things to distract you, was very important to me.
Would you say that you did get depressed when you had your injuries?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I would class it as depression. There was real ups and downs through all of it, where, you might have your surgery, especially for an ACL, where you have your surgery and then you're like, something might happen, or actually the pain gets worse for a period. You're like, I've tweaked it, I've ruined the operation, I've done something wrong. You then go into this massive spiral because there's no way you're ever going to find out. The improvements are so tiny. Your day-to-day improvements are not going to be noticeable at all. And you feel like you're not getting anywhere. So even for like the first 3 months, you might not even feel like anything has changed. You're like, how am I possibly going to even be able to walk again, let alone like do any sport? So I wouldn't say I was like massively depressed, but I worry a lot. Yeah. What about you?
I would say I was definitely depressed for the second one, and I was lucky that I was actually already going to some like counselling, so I was already like there, and then it was taken up by now me worrying about my knee. And remember what they were saying was it's so difficult because when you're someone who's doing a lot of sports, I was like in a running club. I was probably running more than I ever had when I hurt myself the second time. And they were like, you identify as a runner. Do you know what I mean? So then when it's not like you just lost your hobby. It's you worrying about like, oh, I'm not going to run again. I know how long it's all going to take, but you're also like,
who am I now?
Who am I now when I'm not doing these things? So that's why apparently she was saying it was like so tough. Which is so true, isn't it? If you like see yourself as an active person, it's like a big part of who you think. And again, it was just a way of me like feeling like I was developing in life generally. If I was like improving my running times, I was like, look, I'm doing well because I'm getting better at running. And then suddenly it's like, oh, what was the point? Because now I can't do it, and
it's been taken away from you. And then what's left is what's left of my life, like giving me any fulfillment. And you have to try and find it in other places, whilst also not being mobile at all. It's not just been taken away. It's you've lost the ability to do the running, but you've also lost the ability to like walk, look after yourself. You suddenly become you feel like worthless to a point. Like I felt, why does my mom and dad have to look after me at, my mid-20s? Should be prime of life, enjoying it. And here I am on the sofa, drinking gallons of milk every day, which was just...
let's talk about the injury.
We can talk about our coping mechanisms. And my coping mechanism was, how the hell am I going to expedite this recovery process? And one of them was stupidly, milk makes your bones grow stronger. So, Mum, buy some Nesquik. I'm going to town. I would drink probably 4 pints a day. 4 pints. Probably had its own problems.
That's good.
But
I mean, to be fair, shout out to Mum and Dad for looking after us both during those. They've probably had several years now where their adult sons are back at home.
Yeah, and they were very kind to me, weren't they? Because I did my meniscus, and I was I was meant to, it was kind of like I'd finished my job. I was meant to go live in Canada for 2 years on this new adventure, and I tore my meniscus playing football with my dad's mates. And then, but I was meant to fly in like 2 weeks after that. There was no way. And we're super familiar with the process, what that means. Got to get an MRI thing, then you got to wait for the result, then you got to join the waiting list. There was no way, like my whole trip could be off, and they paid up for me to go private, and I'm forever grateful for that, because, and it just shows the whole system is completely just wrong, because it's the same doctors on the NHS who are doing some private work, and with money you just get to fast track the whole thing. It just feels so unfair, and we wouldn't normally be able to do that. It was just like, because I'd banked my whole life on doing this trip. I'd quit my job. I'd moved out of London. I was going, and it just feels unfair, a lot of this stuff.
For sure. And depending on like who your doctor is, I mean, I would have some appointments. I remember the first time I did it, this guy barely looked at me when I went in. He was just reading the results of the scan, and he was like, "You've got this blah blah tear on your blah 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 blah." See, and I asked him to repeat. I was like, "What? Sorry, what was it?" And he just said it again. Do you know what I mean? Your bucket handle of your meniscus lateral tear, blah blah blah. And then he was like, "And you'll get an appointment in a couple of weeks or something." And I left being like, "What has happened?"
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I was like, "Yeah." And
What are you talking about?
really upsetting, and another person being like, "Well, you won't run again." This is what like a physio said after one of them, and I was like, and again, that was wrong because I am running again. I ran in a marathon, and I came out of that, and I was just like sobbed on crutches, like going to the car, because it was just like so in. Do you know what I mean? She just like felt like she just didn't care, and I was just like, so very difficult going into injuries. Any advice, any coping mechanisms?
Coping mechanisms.
Any listeners who are going through injuries at the moment?
For sure. I think what I found useful was, okay, I can't control a lot of things, but what can I control? I control what I eat. I can control like how I spend my time and what I'm doing in that time. I'm not just going to mope around. Try and make plans with friends. I remember getting a load of supplements, whether or not they did anything. I was on eucollagens, which are glucosamines. I was looking up stuff and being like, I was probably, weeing out most of it, but if it makes me feel better that I'm taking something that might help me, it's doing something. I got into cycling really because that was one of the first things I could do post ACL. So I got a turbo trainer, put my bike on one of those, and in the bedroom was just slowly starting. Actually, that's how I got into it. So if anything, I found a new sport, and when I broke my leg, I did more cycling. My meniscus did, more swimming. So I was finding other ways, and then later on I'm doing triathlons. So find a way to sort of, I guess, try and find interest in other things that you can find some joy out of. It could be playing chess, could be, just avoid just mindlessly letting the algorithm dictate your mood, maybe. And we were doing smoothies. Remember smoothies for the meniscus mender smoothie? We can put that little. I'm still having meniscus menders to this day. Yeah, it's a lovely concoction
in the video description.
But as a little brief overview, we're talking oats, we're talking frozen berries, we're talking chia seeds, peanut butter, a sprinkling of spinach, some milk of some variety, your oats, your soy, whatever takes your fancy, doesn't really matter. Blend that up, yummy. Bit of yogurt, maybe.
Nice, yeah. I remember hearing that cherries were quite good for inflammation.
Yes,
so cherries.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
What about you, George? Coping mechanisms? What helped you?
Because I did go through a dark patch, but I found the hardest bit for me was waiting for the surgery. As soon as you'd got the surgery, it felt like I'm on the road to recovery, and then I felt like I was quite positive after that. So I think dealing with that bit in the lead up to the surgery can be quite tough, and that's why I think it's important. Some of the stuff you said, what can you do that you enjoy? Maybe there are other things that you like to do that you haven't done because you've been doing your sports. So again, looking back, I think that's sort of when I got more into photography and bird watching, because I was like, I can still walk out with the camera. That's something I was doing like in the recovery afterwards as well. So that's good. Yeah, planning fun things to do. One of my favorite books that I read is called The Expectation Effect by David Robinson. And this book is pretty crazy. It's just like loads and loads and loads of facts, all about like the power of your mind, basically, and like positive thinking and how it can have like actual impacts on your body and your well-being and all this stuff.
Mm.
Really, really good book. And in that, they tell a story about how people who just did one little exercise where it was like visualizing where you want to be in 6 months or something. They'd had like gallbladder surgery or something. And it was like, where do you want to be in 6 months? And they're like, oh, I want to be able to walk back to the bus. I think they're all quite elderly. It's like, I want to walk myself to the bus stop again. And I want to be able to get down to the end of the road or do my own shopping. And just the people who did this one exercise of visualizing like a positive outcome were further down the road and were having better outcomes in their recovery than the people who didn't. So I think that's really important. Maybe just like think ahead and be like, at one point, I'm going to come back to whatever I
Yeah.
want to do and think about that. I think that's really good. A guy called Knees Over Toes guy, I found very
Oh,
inspiring for
yeah.
knee stuff. Ben
Yeah,
Patrick,
yeah.
he's got all this stuff like he's basically full recovery, but like always keep your joint moving and build up strength throughout the range of motion. And I found his stuff very positive. And I messaged him once on Instagram and was like, I'm going through this thing. And he messaged me back. And he's got millions of Instagram followers. And I thought that was so cool that he was.
And it's, yeah, I think this touches on being able to see where you could be, where you could go, and feeling like it's possible. Because when you're in the depths of it, whether you've tweaked your knee post-surgery or, you know, you start to think you've ruined everything and you're real down in the dumps, you need to be able to feel like someone else has been through this and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So I think maybe speaking to people who have also gone through it helps. Like you spoke to a counselor, but that maybe they didn't, maybe they weren't a sports person, but I think just the fact being able to speak openly to someone is helpful, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned this a bit earlier, but this was advice you gave me actually, which was keep a little diary and write down your pain levels, your symptoms, and everything, because the progress is going to be so slow that you're not going to notice it day to day. But then a few weeks later, you can be like, oh, it hurts. What is this new? You can look back and be like, oh, actually, my pain levels are loads better than they were. And I had this same sort of popping noise or sensation weeks ago, and it's like pain's not got worse. I think that's really good tip there.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. And even small things like, you know, I got to the end of the road or I walked this far. You're never going to notice the like 30 centimeters further you did. But when you look back, you're like, okay, don't worry. I am making progress here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another book that I really enjoyed reading during this time was called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. And this is all based on this quote. I think it was Marcus Aurelius, like a Roman emperor, who said this quote: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. And it's all about this idea that what you might think of now as a terrible thing, an injury, lost your job or something, looking back on it, it could be like a pivotal turning moment or something that like has led to positive things. At the moment, you can't imagine being positive. And he does talk about sports injuries in that book, about how athletes who might have had like a real traumatic injury years down the line might actually look back at it and be like, this was actually one of the best things that happened, because it gave them this whole new perspective on the sport. Or after that, they were like implementing new things into their training or something. But that I felt again was positive, like to think about. It looks like it might be awful now, but you don't know what it could lead to.
Exactly. When you said, oh, running was who I am, that is me, that is my being, it sort of broadened your horizons to be like, actually, I can be into other things. Like I will get back to running, but it's not just the only thing that keeps me ticking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I bought, recovering from my knee surgeries, when I bought my big camera lens and everything, which has led to other areas of my life. So maybe if I hadn't hurt myself, I would just be running, and then that wouldn't have happened. You just don't know. So you got to stay positive.
You do.
It might look bad now, but it might
for
not be.
For anyone who's going through it, you will come out the other side. Yeah. Okay. Well, I know it's not the normal blobbiness that you might get from the Sons of Olympia podcast, but it's part parcel of being a sports person, I guess. We could add some. Here we go. Here's some blobbiness. It's a blobbiness. Let's transition to
One
strangest.
second. For people, like the blobbiness might not translate. We did say that we serve up sporting stories with a brilliant blob of brotherly banter.
Exactly.
So now the blob is
Here's the blob.
laughs, humour,
Yeah.
banter.
Yeah, a bit of
Bit of blob.
bit of buzz. Okay, right.
Blob me up, bro.
I'm gonna strangest treatments there are. I was looking at some like unusual, injury wellness things. See if you've tried these. Leeches. Have you ever used leeches? No. Which could have actually been useful for us because they are used for knee swelling, which we've had plenty of swelling around the knee. They're used to like suck out the additional fluid, and they have natural anti-inflammatory things from their bite, enzymes, whatever, get released into your blood. Louis Saha, who's a footballer, went and had some treatment for his knee swelling with leeches. Leeches are used all over the place. They're pretty incredible animals, to be fair. When they bite you, they stop your blood clotting, so it'll just keep pouring out. Yeah. Fantastic. So you can get leech treatment in the UK as well. So, there you go. Leech treatment. There's one. Cupping, made famous by Michael Phelps and Anthony Joshua with some pretty graphic imagery, some photos of on their back usually. No, yeah, probably because it got you a load of engagement on your socials because the imagery is quite drastic, isn't it? A load of perfectly circular bruises all over your back and chest and arms or whatever, all there to apparently increase circulation and muscle tension. I don't know. Who knows? I'm not I'm not being coached, but I'm partial. I'm up for it. Emu oil. No. Emu oil? No, never heard of this either. But Paula Radcliffe used emu oil to help heal some cuts that she had when she had a collision with a cyclist on a training run. Don't even know where you get an emu oil from.
Yeah, exactly. Is that ethical? How are you oiling an emu? Just put a plaster on it, Paula. God.
Yeah. These athletes will go to all sorts.
Yeah.
So there's some of your weird, wacky ones.
Weird. Yeah. I used to do this thing. I'm not sure if it has a name. It probably does. It was called maybe like hydrotherapy, where they say like put in hot water and then cold water and then hot water and then cold water. Good for circulation. So I'd be in the shower and I'd do like 30 seconds of hot water, 30 seconds of cold water on the knee, trying to get more
specifically
blood
on very localized.
Very localized, yeah.
Yeah. I do love the full body hot and cold situation. I don't do it near enough, but I do like that. Going in and out maybe 3 or 4 times. Yeah. Sign me up.
There's a sauna across the road now.
No.
That's difficult. I could just be in there every single day.
Yeah.
Of course, a sponsor.
Right, should we finish this pod with a little game for you? Final bit. I've got some names of bones. I'm gonna see if you know where they are on the human body. Right. Let's see. Let's test it. You do biology.
I do.
Right. Okay. Humerus.
Okay. Humerus. Is that the arm?
It is. It's the upper arm. That was the easy one. Clavicle.
Oh, that's your shoulder. This bit?
You pointed at it.
Yeah.
Come on now. Where's that near? Your collarbone. Yeah, your collarbone.
Yeah.
That's your clavicle. What are the phalanges?
Phalanges? There's something wrong with the left phalange. Your phalange.
Or flange. I don't know.
Flange? I don't know what that is. Finger?
They are the long bones in your fingers and toes. So there's a few different phalanges. They have different names, but they're the family of phalanges.
Yeah.
The hyoid bone.
Hyoid. Can you use it in a sentence? No.
Touch your hyoid bone.
I don't know where the hyoid is. It your tailbone?
No, that's your coccyx, isn't it?
Of course.
Hyoid bone is at the front of your throat here. And fun fact, it's a floating bone. It attaches. It's kept solely in place by muscle and tendons, and it's involved it helps you breathe, helps you anchors your tongue apparently. helps you swallow. So yeah, shout out to the hyoid bone. And let's finish it up with a calcaneus bone, or calcaneus.
Calcaneus. Neck.
It's your heel bone. Couldn't be further from it. The largest bone in the foot, the heel bone.
Oh.
Wow, good to know that student loans paying dividends.
Yeah. I was more about the animals, which also have bones. But
yeah, there we go.
Some of them. Nice. I like that game. Thanks for that. Don't know how many I got.
I think you got maybe 2. Could be 3. No,
yeah.
2. Well, yeah, good to reminisce about the injuries.
Delve back into that dark period of time.
There will be another one.
Yeah.
We're always dealing with injuries.
Well, hopefully that'll be useful. If that episode was useful for just one person, then it was worth it.
Well, good luck in your half marathon, George. All the best.
You. Yes. And if you're dealing with an injury, let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
And,
we could do with a rating. Give us a follow on Spotify. Give us if you're followers, give us a rating. Hopefully 5.
That's enough.
Out of 5.
Yeah. Sons of Olympia Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
Yeah.
Nice
Fantastic.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
See you later. Ta-ra now. Bye-bye.